Hi everyone, welcome to my channel Adventures in Vegan Living. In today's video I decided to make my Irish soda bread that's got raisins and caraway seeds. It's pretty easy to make, it's really tasty. I love it with some tea, maybe with a dab of vegan butter on it. I think you're going to enjoy it, and of course it's totally vegan. So first things first, I'm going to preheat my oven to 400 degrees, but before I do that I'm going to put this big Pyrex dish that I filled up with water about a third of the way, maybe half of the way. I'm going to put it on the bottom of my oven before I even turn on the heat. The reason for this is that in the hot oven, the water will start boiling and evaporating, and that moisture in the air will help this very nice crust to develop on our bread when it's baking. But I have to put it in right now before I preheat the oven, because otherwise, if I put it in the hot oven, the dish might crack. So I'm opening my oven and putting this dish right on the bottom. Now I'm turning my oven up to 400. So let me show you the ingredients in the order of how we're going to use them. Aquafaba, the liquid from a can of chickpeas. Then I've got some almond milk, some apple cider vinegar. I've got my unbleached all-purpose flour, baking soda, cornstarch, salt, and caraway seeds. Next up, I'm going to use some coconut oil. I'm going to melt it. Some raisins and some sugar. This is raw cane sugar. If you don't have raw sugar, you can just use regular white sugar. First, we're going to make our vegan buttermilk. To do that, I'm going to measure out 2 tablespoons of aquafaba and put them right in my measuring cup. Next, I'm going to add almond milk. You can actually use other types of non-dairy milk if you prefer. I'm going to pour enough of it until it reaches the 1.5 cup mark. Right here. There we go. Next, I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. And now I'm just going to whisk it a little bit to mix everything together. It's beginning to separate a little bit, which is good. And now I'm just going to set it aside. Next, I'm going to measure out my flour. We're going to need 3.5 cups of it. I'm going to be careful not to pack it too tightly, because if we do, then we might end up with more flour than we need. Okay, so this is about 2 cups. Dump it in here. It's about another 1.5 cups. Next, we've got 2 teaspoons of baking soda. Just sprinkle it around like that. 1 tablespoon of cornstarch. 1 teaspoon of salt. And also, we are going to add caraway seeds at this point. Some recipes call for caraway seeds to be added later, but I think we can do it just now. And we're going to do 1 tablespoon. All right, good job. Now I'm just going to mix it all as good as I can. I can already smell this nice aroma of caraway seeds. Next, I'm going to measure out 3 tablespoons of sugar. 1, 2, and 3. We're not using too much because we don't want our soda bread to be too sweet. Now I'm going to pour in melted coconut oil. I've got about 1/4 cup of it. Now I'm going to whisk it together. You can either use a whisk or a fork if you don't have a whisk. Now I'm going to add our buttermilk, and we will whisk it some more. We have to work quickly because coconut oil, when it's mixed with cold non-dairy milk, it will want to start solidifying, and that's definitely something we don't want to happen. Ooh, you can see that it's already solidifying. I gotta work quicker. Now I'm going to measure out my raisins. I'm going to use about 3/4 cup, and I'm going to add the raisins right here in this liquid mixture. I find that oftentimes if you put raisins straight into the flour, you know how they have all those wrinkles? So little bits of flour like to get stuck in them. And as a result, once the bread is baked, you can see these speckles of white flour that aren't bad or anything, but I think it looks better when you don't have those. Just gently mixing it together. We're gonna try not to over mix it, because the more we mix it, the more gluten strains will form. Yeah, the dough is very soft, but it's quite sticky. You know what? It looks a little too sticky to me, so I think I'm gonna add maybe a couple tablespoons of flour. Now I've kneaded this for about a minute, and you can see how everything is coming together. I think it's quite nice. Okay. So I've got a regular baking sheet that I've lined with parchment paper. And here's my dough. As you can see, it's pretty nice. So I'm just going to plop it right here and shape it nicely in a nice big circle. So here we go. I'm just going to cut it down. And you can see, it's nice and round right here. It's a little bit shaggy, but that's just fine. So I'm going to just try to make it a little bit plumper here. Now we are going to cut across right here through the middle. I find that just a regular steak knife does the job. You don't worry if it's like flattened out. All right, now we're going to put our bread in the oven. Oh, it's really humid in there. So we're just going to put it in. And then we'll set the timer for 40 minutes. So our timer is going off right now. Let's check on our bread and see what it looks like. Ooh, that's pretty nice. Maybe you can see pretty brown all over. So I'm going to put it back in there. Okay, so I'm going to close this. So now I'm going to lower the temperature to 350 and we're going to let it stay in there for another 5 minutes or so. The timer just went off, so we're gonna get it out. Okay, pretty nice, isn't it? Going to slide it off like that. Now we're gonna let it sit for maybe 15-20 minutes and then we'll cut and see what it looks like inside. All right, so it's been about 15 or 20 minutes. Okay, let's see. So yeah, it feels nice and moist inside, but it's definitely done. It's not raw, that's for sure. It smells really good. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and cut another slice. Okay. All right, I think I'm gonna dab some vegan butter in it and we'll do a taste test. So I've got some vegan butter over here. I'm using melt. So here we are. It's really good. It's not too sweet, but it definitely has some sweetness from the raisins. Caraway seeds add this really nice touch of spice. Not hot, of course, but just nice and spicy. The crust is very crusty. I love how, since it's still warm, the butter kind of melts and gets absorbed. So yeah, it's delicious. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you make this recipe, please let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear how it came out. You can find the recipe in written form on my website. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. Please like this video down below also. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.